So when you think about workplace safety, what comes to mind? Probably things like hard hats, steel-toed boots, maybe a few checklists. But what if I told you the single most powerful safety tool isn't something you wear or carry? It's a document. It's called a formal hazard assessment, and it's the master blueprint for building a genuinely safe workplace. And trust me, it's about a whole lot more than just ticking boxes for compliance.
So here's what we're going to cover in this explainer. We're going to start with why this whole thing is so important. Then we'll break down the two main types of assessments you need to know about. After that, we'll get practical and walk through the blueprint for creating one, step by step. We'll talk about controlling the hazards you find, how to actually bring your plan to life, and finally, how to make sure it's more than just a document sitting in a binder.
All right, before we dive into the how-to, we've got to talk about the why. Because honestly, when you really get the stakes involved, the whole process just clicks and becomes so much more meaningful.
Let's just start with the human cost, because it's staggering. In 2020 alone, Canada saw 235,000 reported workplace injuries. I mean, think about that. That's over 650 people getting hurt on the job every single day. And if you look at the financial side, it's just as jaw-dropping. We're talking about a direct cost of over $2 billion a year from those injuries. The takeaway here is crystal clear. A really strong safety program isn't just an expense. It's one of the smartest investments a business can make.
So, what's the real payoff for getting this right? Well, for starters, there's compliance. These assessments are legally required, so that's non-negotiable. But way more importantly, they are proven to dramatically improve safety by getting ahead of risks before they cause harm. And here's the kicker. A safer workplace is almost always a more efficient one. You get less downtime, smoother operations. It's a win-win.
Okay, so let's be clear. Not all hazard assessments are the same. You've got to know the two main types, because they work together, but they do very different jobs. Let's break it down.
On one side, you've got your formal assessment. Think of this as the master plan, the big picture blueprint. It's a deep, comprehensive dive into every single job and task in your entire organization. It's the foundation of your whole safety system. Now, on the other side, you've got the site-specific assessment. This is more like your daily check-in. It's fast, it's focused, and it's all about tackling the immediate, on-the-ground hazards that can pop up or change from one day to the next.
All right, now for the main event. How do you actually build one of these formal assessments? Don't worry, we're going to walk through the entire blueprint, step by step, to make it super clear and totally actionable.
Phase 1 is all about gathering information. I mean, you can't protect people from risks you don't even know exist, right? So we have to start by getting a crystal clear picture of all the work being done. And we'll do that in 3 steps. Create a job inventory, list out all the tasks, and then identify the hazards for each one.
Step 1. Create a job inventory. This means you have to know every single role in the company. Take this supermarket example. You can't just put staff on a list. You have to get specific. You've got grocery clerks, butchers, bakers. Each one of those roles faces totally unique risks, and you need to capture that.
Step 2 zooms in even closer. Now for each one of those jobs, you list out all the specific tasks they do. So a grocery clerk isn't just working. No, they're scanning items, they're stocking shelves, they're cleaning up spills. Every single one of those actions carries its own potential for hazard, and that's why getting this granular is so important.
Now for step 3, for each one of those tasks, we identify the hazards. So what's a hazard? It's literally anything that can cause harm. It helps to think of them in 4 big buckets. You've got your physical hazards, like slipping or heavy lifting. You've got chemical hazards, like fumes or cleaning solvents. Biological, like mold. And super important these days, psychosocial hazards, like workplace stress or harassment. And don't forget to think about both immediate safety risks and those long-term health hazards.
Okay, so you've done the hard work, you've identified all the potential hazards. You can't just leave them sitting on a list. The next phase is all about turning that knowledge into action. It's time to analyze the risks and figure out how to control them.
So you've got this big list of hazards. Where do you even begin? That's step 4. You have to prioritize. You can't fix everything at once, so you focus on the biggest risks first. Using a risk matrix like this one, you look at each hazard and ask 2 questions. How likely is it to happen? And if it does happen, how bad will it be? That simple process tells you exactly what dangers you need to tackle right away.
Now for maybe the most important tool in your entire safety toolkit,
the hierarchy of controls. And listen, this isn't just a list of options you can pick from. It's a ladder you work your way down, from most effective to least. You always start at the top, with elimination. Can you just get rid of the hazard completely? If not, you move to engineering controls that physically isolate people from the hazard, like putting up a guardrail. Below that are administrative controls, which change how people work. Think new procedures or training. And only then, as the absolute last resort, do you rely on PPE, or personal protective equipment. Why last? Because it's always better to remove the danger itself than to just give someone a shield and hope for the best.
So, you've done the research, you've analyzed the risks, you've planned out your controls. But a plan on paper protects exactly no one. This final stage is all about making your assessment a living, breathing part of how you work every day.
Making it real means creating a continuous loop. First, you implement the controls you decided on. Then, you have to communicate everything clearly to every single worker. You need to constantly monitor to make sure the controls are actually working as intended. And finally, you review and revise the whole assessment regularly, because workplaces are always changing. This is not a one-and-done deal. It's an ongoing cycle of getting better and safer.
And this brings us right back to where we started. It really drives home the key takeaway. A formal hazard assessment isn't just a piece of the safety puzzle. It is the foundation. It's the solid ground that every other part of a credible safety program is built on.
Now look, building this kind of foundation is a huge task, and it can definitely feel a little overwhelming. That's why it's good to know there are resources out there to help. Companies like On-Track Safety, for example, specialize in this exact process. They can provide training, give you templates to get started, and even offer consulting to make sure your safety blueprint is rock solid.
And this brings us to maybe the most important point of all. The real goal here isn't to create some perfect document that's just going to sit in a binder on a shelf. The goal is to create a fundamental shift in your entire workplace. I absolutely love this quote because it just nails it. A real culture of safety isn't found in your paperwork. It's not a form, it's not a policy. It's lived every single day by you and everyone you work with. It's about having proactive conversations, building good habits, and sharing a real commitment to making sure everyone gets home safe at the end of the day.
So I'll leave you with this question to chew on. In your workplace, is your safety plan just a document that's collecting dust, or is it a daily reality? Because making that shift from one to the other, well, that's what this is all about.